Hello, students. It's time to talk about irregular verbs. Yes, irregular verbs. It's what we're studying, and it's one of the more difficult parts of the English language. What is an irregular verb? Well, first, let's start. What is a verb? A verb is a word that expresses action or condition. For example, speak, or listen, read, write. Those are examples of verbs, but also eat is a verb. Sleep is a verb. Play is a verb. All of these words are verbs. Now, there are regular verbs and irregular verbs. A regular verb in English is a verb that can be changed from present to past by adding the letters ed. For example, one regular verb is the verb play. For example, in present you can say, I play basketball every day. I play. But if you speak in the past, you say, yesterday I played. Can you hear the D sound? Yesterday I played. That's because when we write the word played in the past, we take the present form and we add ed. Play in the present, played in the past. Now, there are many, many verbs in English that are like this. There are so many that we say this is the normal situation. It's regular. These are regular verbs. Irregular verbs are different. And here's the hard part. Irregular verbs don't follow many rules. There's not just add ed to change a verb from present to past. No, it can be many different things. For example, the verb eat is an irregular verb. Why? Because in the present we say I eat. Like every day I eat a lot of pizza. Eat. But if you speak in the past, you say yesterday I ate. So eat in the present, ate in the past, and we write it differently too. Eat in the present is EAT, and in the past it's ATE. Now, so in conclusion, an irregular verb is a verb that when it changes to the past form, it does not follow the normal rule where you put ed in it. Here's the next thing. With irregular verbs, we always study three columns, three forms of the verb. The first form is what we call the infinitive. It's the basic form. For example, with the verb eat, well, the first form is eat. We use it for the present, like every day I eat breakfast, then I eat lunch, and at night I eat dinner. We also use it for imperative, for commands. I say, eat your vegetables. Eat. And there are other times when we use it too. But the second column is what we use for the past. Like I said before, yesterday I ate a pizza. Last week I ate 5 pizzas. And last November I ate a pizza every day. So present eat, past ate. But there's a third form, and this form is what we call the participle. With our example, eat in the present, ate in the past, the third form is eaten. Eaten. Sometimes we say eaten, but eaten, E-A-T-E-N. This participle is used for perfect tenses. What are those? If you want to say, I have eaten. For example, I have eaten many pizzas in my life. I have. And we use this when we're speaking in general about our experiences. It's a tense called present perfect. There's also future perfect and past perfect. But this participle is another form of the verb. The first one is the infinitive, eat. The second one is the past form, ate. And the third one is the participle, eaten. Now, for every irregular verb, it can be different. For example, the verb go, you probably know. In the present, we say go. In the past, we say went. For example, yesterday I went to school. And in the participle, we say gone. I have gone to my school since I was a little boy. Okay? So you have to memorize the 3 columns. Now, here's the thing. There are many irregular verbs in English. And yes, part of learning them is just studying memory. Now, for many people, this is boring, and for many people, it's difficult. So, what's the solution? Well, you have to find different strategies. If you learn English as your first language, to tell you the truth, they never teach us irregular verbs. They really don't. You just hear it so often that it's normal for you that someone might say, well, every day we go to school, so I know the word go. And then in the past, they say, yesterday we went to school. So I know that in the past, it's the same idea, but I use the form went. And they might say, we have gone to this school a long time. And so I recognize the same verb. Gone is from the verb go. They're all connected, but I use them at different times. Native speakers don't think about this, but if English isn't your first language, you have to study it. I like to think it's similar to times tables. When you learn multiplication, at first it takes a long time to memorize that 8 times 7 is 56. And when you were younger, there were times when you studied it, you remembered, you forgot, it was okay, and then you forgot everything and you had to practice and practice, but over time you learned it. And then it becomes automatic and you don't have to think about it. Yes, 9 times 7 is 63, and you know this. Well, in English, go, went, gone, eat, ate, eaten. Yes, come, came, come. These are forms of verbs that you just know, and you know when to use them. But we have strategies. In our class, we've divided them up into different groups, and we're going to learn about 80 irregular verbs. 80, that's a lot. So what did we do? You wrote many of them in your notebook, and also you have made this project, My Little Book of Irregular Verbs. Every page, as you know, has a different color. We started with the color black. And every group of each color has like a rule to help you learn it. This first group, the black group, as you know, you can see it says black, the same. What does that mean? Well, these are irregular verbs that have the same form in the infinitive, the first form, in the past, the second form, and in the participle, the third form. For example, cut. In English, we say, I use scissors to cut my paper. Every day I cut something. But also in the past, it's the same. Yesterday I cut my finger. Ow! I cut. Now the idea is the past, but we write the verb the same way. And also the third one, the participle, is also cut. I have cut my finger so many times, oof, it hurts. Well, I have cut. So all of these verbs use the same verb in the infinitive, in the past, and in the participle. So how do we know the difference, you say? It's all in the context. If you speak and say today or every day I cut some paper, we know the idea is present. If you say yesterday, we know the idea is past. That's how you know the difference. But again, if you just learn these as a group, it will help you remember better. The second group, as you know, is the red group, and these are words that also follow a pattern. For example, the word bring. If you bring something, it means you take it from a place that's far and you bring it near you. For example, in school, I always say, you must bring your books. You have to bring your notebook to class, right? But in the past, we say brought, B-R-O-U-G-H-T, brought. And the participle is also brought. So here you have a list of verbs that have one form in the infinitive, and then in the past and the participle, it's the same form, and they end in O-U-G-H-T or A-U-G-H-T, and the sound is always ought, ought. Bring, brought, brought, buy, bought, bought, fight, fought, fought, think, thought, thought, catch, caught, caught, teach, taught, taught. Now, I have taught you about irregular verbs. And here's the thing. This term, every week, I am going to ask you 2 of these groups in your book. We have 12 groups, and you have to study. Some of you are doing a great job, and you're working hard to learn it. But some of you think that you can just do it and you'll know it. But then you realize that it doesn't work that way. You have to practice and practice. You have to write it down. You have to speak it. You have to cover it up and test yourself to see if you know. You have to think about it. and find examples and try to express your ideas in English. The more you practice, the easier it will get. I know you can do this, and take this seriously because this is important. I want all my students to know these by the time you finish this year of school, because this is like a building block. When you know the irregular verbs, you can do so much more with the language, and you will be a pro at English. Well, we're finished. That's the video about irregular verbs. Good luck. You can do it.